Hello, everyone. Welcome to What is Noble, the Noble High School Podcast Club. What is Noble Podcast Club focuses on interviewing students, teachers, coaches, etc. about problems, ideas, and really anything going on around Noble High School. The topic for this podcast is how did our students and staff enjoy hybrid/remote learning? We will be interviewing 3 people on what they liked, disliked, and what was challenging for them during the coronavirus pandemic. Hello, everyone. Welcome to What is Noble, the Noble High School podcast. Today I'm going to be interviewing Marin. She's an 8th grader at Noble High School, and I'm going to be asking her questions about how she likes or dislikes hybrid or remote learning. So let's get started. On March 13th, 2020, many schools in Maine got out of school for a 2-week school lockdown because of COVID-19. What was your reaction to that on that day?
I mean, like any other student, I was excited because I meant no school for 2 weeks. I could just hang out. It was starting to become spring. I could go outside. But then as it progressed to be another 2 weeks and another 2 weeks, I started to get sick of being at home and wanted to go back in school and see my friends.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, a whole bunch of students were probably super excited, and then as the days got longer and longer, yeah, they missed it. So what's something you did to deal with quarantine since you were all cooped up in your house?
I did a lot of crafting and reading. So I think for the first few months, I kind of stayed in my room for a while because I got tired of seeing my family, so I just stayed in my room. Seems very teenagery of me. But I read a lot of books, I crafted, I watched a lot of Netflix. And that's, I guess, how I kind of dealt with quarantine because I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't go see anything. My family had big plans to do, and those just all got pushed back.
Yeah. What are some of the books you read?
I read To Kill a Mockingbird, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I read that book. I reread a lot of my favorite classics. I read quite a few Agatha Christie novels, which are amazing.
Nice. So, it was a crazy summer for all of us. How did you feel coming back to school in a hybrid learning environment?
Well, I had spent my summer with people because I played softball all summer, so I guess I was used to seeing people. But I hadn't seen any of my school friends in school, so it was exciting to go back and be able to see my friends. And I was used to taking all the precautions because in softball we have to wear masks whenever we go to the hotels, and we have to stay 6 feet apart everywhere. So I was used to all the precautions.
Yeah.
But I think my first reaction going back to school is it's like I'm enlisted in military camp or something. There was strict protocols. They had the back to school video, and I was like, it's like I'm going into a military facility or something, or a high security place.
Yeah. So, what's something you like about hybrid learning?
I like not having to go in person every day.
Yeah.
I know that kind of sounds sad, but I like not having to be in person every day because in schools, I like having a changed environment almost each week. It's it's my bedroom and a classroom. It's not that exciting, but being able to go remote learning, it gives me a little more free time, I guess, to be able to do homework and stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have breaks and you can do homework. And hybrid learning, it is nice to be able to go in person. It's be remote, do your remote learning, and then you get go have a little bit of social time. So that's what hybrid learning is. It's when you go in person, you just are socializing with people that you never get to see that much.
Yeah, that's good. So, what is something you dislike about hybrid learning?
I think the teachers try and cram a lot into those 2 days, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But then a little overwhelming. It's do this assignment, but have it done by tonight, and it'll be a long assignment, so we can do this thing tomorrow. And it's teachers, you don't get to be able to have the full experience of high school and get to do everything that you would in a regular year, because teachers are cutting out units because we have less time, which kind of stinks because some units that they're cutting out I actually really wanted to do.
Yeah, that's annoying. But what's something you got to experience during the pandemic that you wouldn't have been able to do in a normal year?
I think over the summer with my softball team, I already spend a lot of time with them, but this summer it was like we couldn't spend time with anyone else. So whenever we got to see my softball team, that was like, ooh, actual people. So I think I grew closer with my softball team than I already was.
Yeah, that's
which
good.
That was nice. And I think the COVID pandemic, it kind of has just like gives people a different perspective on how precious our life was.
So I know many of us took the time we spent at home for granted, including me. What is something you would have done differently when you were stuck at home?
Maybe spend more time with my family, I guess, because when it first happened, I kind of just stayed in my room because I got tired of them very quickly. But over the pandemic, I guess I remodeled my room. I did like a lot of remodeling of things, which now I'm like, why did I do that? That was just COVID craziness that I did.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But if you could go back in time to March 13th, what would you tell your past self?
Take every time that you got to go out of the house as a blessing. Like that one time that you get to go to the grocery store like every other. Take that as like the best time as your life. Like cherish that, really.
Yeah.
Cherish any time that you get to go beyond the borders of your house. And all, like if you go in the car for a ride somewhere but don't ever actually get out, like take that as a blessing.
Yeah. Nice. So what is the first thing you will do once COVID-19 is gone?
Travel. It's just get out of the state of Maine. Just
Yeah.
go. Travel. I have softball tournaments that are going to be in like Connecticut, which in Vermont, which everyone's now planning to have like little mini vacations in like Vermont or somewhere just to like go away.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just want to leave the situation we're in, and
Yes.
But we're glad that we're experiencing it, but like it's also hard because it's history, but like yeah, we're stuck at home all the time.
Yeah.
So
There's been a lot.
Yeah.
The past couple of there's been a lot of history this past year.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Marin, everyone. She's an 8th grader at Noble High School, and we will see you all in our next podcast of What is Noble. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone. Welcome to What is Noble podcast. I'm Natalia, and today I will be interviewing Owen. He is an 8th grader at Noble High School, and I'm going to be asking him questions about how he likes remote or hybrid learning. So here we go. So on March 13th, 2020, many schools in Maine got out of school for a 2-week school lockdown because of COVID-19. What was your reaction to that on that day?
My reaction was I basically thought that we were just going to be kind of out of school for maybe a few weeks and then get back in. And little did I know that it would extend to a year-long, basically remote learning.
Yeah.
Period. So yeah, I just thought it was going to be a minor annoyance.
Yeah. So what was something you did to deal with quarantine since we were all cooped up in our houses?
Well, I was kind of in my environment, being an introvert, so I just did a lot of reading.
Yeah, that's
board
good.
Games and such.
Yeah. It was a really crazy summer for all of us, so how did you feel coming back to school in a hybrid learning environment?
It was nice being able to be back in school, but it was also good having some remote time, especially with all the COVID restrictions. Kind of take a break from having to deal with those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's good to be able to see my friends again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what is something you like about hybrid learning?
Something I like about it is just being able to be in school physically and being able to talk to others.
Yeah. And what is something you don't like about hybrid learning?
While I know it's necessary, I really don't like masks. That's really the thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
So, because they are necessary, I don't complain too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what is something you got to experience during the pandemic that you wouldn't have been able to do in a normal year?
I've been able to do a lot of remote classes and also been able to participate in lessons and such I might not be able to do otherwise.
Yeah, that's good. So, I know many of us took the time we spent at home for granted, including me. What's something you would have done differently when you were stuck at home?
If I could do something differently, I think one of it would be spending some more time in the outdoors.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were probably cooped up and they didn't want to go outside.
Yeah.
So, if you could go back in time to March 13th, what would you tell your past self?
Do not be fooled by the 2-week label on this lockdown is going to last for over a year.
Yeah. So, what's the first thing you will do once COVID-19 is gone?
Put the masks in storage and not take them out again unless absolutely necessary.
Okay. So that was Owen. He is an 8th grade student at Noble High School. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to the What is Noble podcast, and we will see you all next time. So this is Miss Taylor. She has been working as a librarian for over 30 years, and she is the librarian at Noble High School. So I'm going to ask her some questions about how she likes hybrid/remote learning. So on March 13th, 2020, many schools got out of school for a 2-week school lockdown because of COVID-19. What was your reaction on that day?
I wasn't prepared for the severity of the pandemic, I would say. I was really, I was a little curious and a little excited, and I packed up a few things, and that was that for months.
Yeah. So, what was something you did to deal with quarantine since we were all cooped up in our houses?
I did I did a lot of Zoom calls with my family, and I'm also the district librarian, so I would have many Zoom meetings with my district librarians to, just do a well check. How are you guys doing? And what are you doing during this? That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's cool. So it was a crazy summer for all of us. How did you feel coming back to school in a hybrid learning environment?
Well, after the winter that we had, I have to say I was a little bit apprehensive. I live with someone who is, at high risk, and so I was a little nervous. But I also felt, seeing everything that administration did, I felt pretty safe once I got to the building and saw all the procedures and protocol in place. I felt safe there.
That's good. So what is something you like about hybrid learning?
Some things I like
Yes.
would be, okay, I'm thinking. Some things that I like. I guess what I would say is that I've had the ability to have more one-on-one with students. Students are reaching out to me, through email and to help with research projects. And I've done a few videos on how to use our databases and that sort of thing. So that was fun, but I wouldn't want to have it ongoing.
Yeah. What's something you don't like about hybrid learning?
Not seeing you guys. I miss the students so much. We, in the morning in the library, before all this, our library was just bursting with students in there talking, and it was awesome. And I miss the students coming in to take books out.
Yeah. What's something you got to experience during the pandemic that you wouldn't have been able to do in a normal year?
Well, this isn't a surprise, but I do read a lot. Yeah. And during the pandemic, I was just figuring it out. I keep track of the books that I read, and I figured out that during the pandemic, I read a almost 5 books a month. It was 4.8 books a month.
That's great.
That doesn't happen in a, shall we say, normal year.
Yeah. Could you tell me some of the books you read?
Oh, sure. I could tell you some of the books that I read if I was into a series called. It's a mystery series for adults, and surprisingly, it was written by J.K. Rowling.
Wow.
But she did a pen name as Robert Galbraith, and I had no idea that. I didn't know when I first started reading it that that's who that was, or maybe I knew and just forgot. And I blew through that series rather quickly.
Yeah.
And I read the entire, with my granddaughter, the entire Harry Potter series.
Wow.
All 7 books. So yeah, those are 2 things that I read that I liked.
That's good. Yeah, so I know many of us took the time we spent at home for granted, including me. What is something you would have done differently when you were stuck at home?
I would have stayed out. I would have gone outside more and not. I really became a hermit and didn't want to leave the house at all. And I would not do that this time. Well, next time. But let's hope there's not a next time.
Yeah. So if you could go back in time to March 13th, what would you tell your past self?
Maybe to get outside more, not read more, maybe not be so fearful. I was a little afraid during part of it, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So what is the first thing you will do once COVID-19 is gone?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would probably make a point to see my family more. My family, I live in New Hampshire, and they're all in coastal Maine, Bar Harbor, and Ellsworth. So that's what I'm hoping to do. I've had my vaccinations, and once everybody else has, then we will be seeing them. The other thing that I just want to mention is I did go on a journey of self-care, and it was very good, and I'm glad that I did that during that too.
That's good. Yeah, so that was Miss Taylor. She is the librarian at Noble High School. We hope you enjoyed this podcast by the What is Noble Podcast Club. Be sure to check us out next time to see what is going on around Noble.